Hello everyone, my name is Josh, I am from Pennsylvania, and on the 20th of April of 2025, I hit my 5-year sobriety mark. I just wanted you guys to know that in my deepest, darkest times, getting to where I am today, going from living in a ditch to going to a rehab, sober house, so on and so forth, I now met the woman of my dreams and am soon asking her to take my hand in marriage. And without How I Met Your Mother, I wouldn't have made it through those deep, dark days. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank the cast and everyone with all their hard work and tell you all I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
I'm alone. What a pity I won't be soon in New York City. When I see you, please permit me to tell you everything in New York City.
Wow, what a way to start. Hello, everyone. I'm Josh Radnor. I'm joined as ever by my friend Craig Thomas. Hello, Craig.
Hello, Josh.
Welcome to another episode of How We Made Your Mother. We're discussing the program, the series, the television show How I Met Your Mother, which Craig created with Carter Bays. It ran for 9 years. People still love it. We are interrogating exactly what Josh shared with us, why How I Met Your Mother is such good medicine for people in hard times. Josh, if you're listening, and I hope you are, thank you for...
my gosh, yeah.
Thank you for the gift of that voice note. We're so glad. Did you say you hit 5 years of sobriety?
5 years.
5 years is no small thing. That's huge. Some might even say it's a major accomplishment.
Major accomplishment.
And we're thrilled. We're thrilled for you, and congrats on the almost engagement. We're so happy to be here.
That was almost a proposal. That was almost. It's like, when does this air? When's he going to ask? You don't know.
He has to come to a Josh Radnor show on tour because that's where all the proposals are happening these days.
It's happening.
So we have this is a great extra special episode because we have a guest star today who is not only a hilarious writer, but he is one of the handsomest comedy writers in Hollywood. Please welcome a person who was on the show. Is this correct, Craig? From day one?
Day one,
day one
from the pilot
to day final. Yeah,
day one to day final. One of the all-time greats How I Met Your Mother writers, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Harris.
Chris Harris
is with us. The author of Game Night, which we're going to talk about. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, guys. I'm so thank you for letting me be here. And if you please elaborate on the handsome part, because I think
I 100% will.
Yeah.
Do people ever say that you resemble the great Welsh actor Michael Sheen? Have you heard this before?
He's hot preacher or hot.
No. That's Andrew Scott. Nice try.
Andrew Scott.
That's Andrew Scott trying to be hot.
Michael
By
Sheen.
the way,
look him up. You might want to look him up.
Too. I love Chris Harris upgraded the hot actor he was being compared to. It's like, you mean that the hot priest?
Was he the hot young guy in Thelma and Louise? No, that's Brad Pitt.
That's a young Brad
Pitt. Which James Bond was he? Because yes, I get them all.
Well, we're thrilled to have you here, Chris. Do you feel complete on the handsomeness, or do you need more?
No, that was plenty.
Okay.
It was it went right into parody very quickly. So,
well, we're discussing your great season 1 episode. I think it's episode 15. Is that right, Alex?
Yes.
Wow.
Episode 15 of season 1 is called Game Night. Chris also wrote episode 5 or 6? 5, 6. Okay, awesome.
I think it was 5.
The one in the club with the subtitles. Hilarious episode. You really crushed your season 1 episodes, Chris. This is
big numbers.
Game Night.
There's another one coming up. Coming up.
So let's put you on the spot right away. We often. Oh, by the way, what was the air date of this, Alex?
This was on February 27, 2006.
A simpler time. Chris, I often ask Craig to do this, but let's just test your memory. Can you give a quick synopsis of what happens in this episode?
The log line of this
Sure
one.
I can. We during a game night run by Marshall, a secret comes out about Barney, and in order for everyone to hear his story, he gets the most embarrassing moments from each of the other cast members along the way.
Great. That's
good.
21
Efficient.
minutes, TV 14, closed caption.
All right, well done. We've never had
Amazing.
those extras.
And do you have any kind of greatest hits? Like, what is your memory of this, like, in the writer's room? How did this story start? How did it break? What were the main inciting ideas?
I remember it as almost being a little bit of the same way Barney's story came out piecemeal. I remember it being a little bit of that slog in terms of how to structure it. But the starting point, I think Carter and Craig came in with Barney's backstory. I think this was was this one of your original pitches, Craig?
I don't think it was on that original sheet, but it was definitely like in the back of our head about like we're gonna peel back the suit and see who that guy used to be before he kind of got in there. And then I don't remember if we kind of had the overt like Star Wars references at that point or if those came later. But I think we might have had this. Star Wars might have inspired this idea, like seeing Darth Vader become Darth Vader in the third prequel that was out of Revenge of the Sith. That idea of that sequence, I think, may have been the inspiration for just the way we would learn Barney's backstory.
I feel like that's right. I feel like you guys had this amazing notion of let's tell an origin story for Barney. Let's show how he was a hippie in the late 90s and what turned him into the suit wearing, some might say monster that he became. And then I think we had this great story, and most of the discussion in the room was how do we build up an episode around that's going to rival this story. And I was flipping through. I looked quickly through some of the room notes, which are almost indecipherable. Not just because
I love that you have that. Did you find that in an old email or something? Or did you have
like an old folder deep. I had to peel the cobwebs away as I dove deeper and deeper into my Mac.
Yellowing parchment like the Constitution.
Earlier and earlier versions of Word documents, and. It looked like we, for a while there was talk about like, is it all about, they hear about the video and it's all about trying to track down this video. And Barney's giving them clues about where it might be. So it got very complicated. And then at some point it hit that I saw there's a little bullet point that's something like, everyone has to tell their story in order to get more of Barney's story. And from there, I think it started to crack, and it was like, oh, it's a game night, and Marshall's running it.
I remember the feeling that it can't just be that we have this funny backstory. It was, how do we make it interesting in the present tense? And how is there some kind of goal and forward momentum in the present tense and stakes? And I think in figuring out what are the stakes, we realized like, Ted and Robin, Ted and Victoria, and that got added on. And then all of a sudden it was an episode. It wasn't just, here's a funny clip show of stuff that happened in the past. It's like, we needed a present day conundrum or conundra, plural. And I've never said that word before, but I'm just going to pretend I say it all the time.
I love it.
And I remember that was hard to find, wasn't it, Chris? I feel like we're hitting our heads against the wall. Like we had the Darth Vader nugget and we didn't, the rest was actually hard to get.
Yeah.
Do you remember that way?
And looking at it now, because after rewatching, I was like, oh wow, it's pretty complicated. I mean, because Ted and Robin and Victoria, there's a lot going on, and there are these micro expressions, and there's like things that somebody says that somebody else takes the other way.
And Ted's story, which is great, and it adds to the lore, but it also like causes this understandable moment of friction and confusion with Victoria. Like we keep talking about how great it is when you have something like that's both character revealing and plot forwarding and funny all at the same time. Like that seemed to be the sweet spot for these episodes, especially in some of the B stories. Like we were talking about another episode where the B, like little moments in the B story actually end up having major consequences for the rest of the
Major consequences.
It
happens in real life, folks. We find them in nature.
And I wrote you this little ditty to sing to you in New York City.
We'll be right back. Hey, Craig, hey.
Yeah, I didn't see you there.
Yeah.
Listen, I have a feeling there's going to be two parts to my life story.
Yeah.
Before MeUndies and after MeUndies.
Like a real demarcation line in your life.
Yeah. See what I'm saying? I don't know if you're picking up on this. I've tricked you yet again into another an ad. This one's for MeUndies. And here's the thing. Here's what's happening. We're getting sent these, you and I both, and our lives are going to change, Josh. That's what's going to happen.
How do we know? If only there was someone we could ask that has a long relationship with MeUndies.
Anybody on this podcast now that might what?
Guys,
Alec, our producer, Alec Lev, is raising his hand.
Guys, I don't think I was clear. We did one of the, this is our second MeUndies ad, and I'm very excited about it because I have worn nothing but MeUndies.
Please put on some additional clothes, by the way.
I've got.
If anyone's watching on YouTube, you'll see Alex only wearing.
I've got one pair. It's got a couple of cells left to it. I've been wearing it since the pandemic here. These are the greatest underwears. Sorry, I don't know what the
underwears.
Word is. They're
happening.
They are comfortable. I'm not reading anything. We have something that we're supposed to read. I'm just telling you, they're incredibly comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You have said this off mic.
They are the best. I'll tell you. Here's what I think about it. You go through your day. You're not really thinking about your underwear. You shouldn't be. You should be living your life.
You shouldn't be thinking about your underwear.
I don't want to think about your underwear.
No. You should be thinking about my underwear. But if I stop to think about this underwear, like in the moment, the ball caddy, it's got me. It's got things. It's got things where they're supposed to go. It's the ultra modal.
I was gonna ask you, Alec, is it the ultra modal ball caddy boxer briefs?
That is what it is.
Now I'm off book on that.
They're tight on just the right grip. I want to say on the legs. And really everywhere.
Would you describe them as game-changing and designed for next-level support with no squishing, no sticking, no clumping, just pure cloud-like comfort? Is that how you would describe them?
Are you looking into my soul right now, Josh? Because
I just feel like I've known you long enough that I can.
We've known each other a while. We've known each other since before I was a MeUndies kind of guy. So like, Craig
and you
says,
were. I will say this: you were a grumpy character back then.
You were full of hate, very bitter. All
and now there is a lightness to you that I have noticed.
There's a fluff. There's a lightness.
Like I said, pre MeUndies and post MeUndies. That's how life gets defined now.
Get them.
Listen, guys, I think we've talked a long time about this, so I'm going to say this now. Slide into game-changing comfort with MeUndies. Support the show by going to MeUndies.com/yourmother and using my code yourmother. We're saying the words your mother a lot as pertains to undies, which let's just move. We're going to move through. We're going to run through the B's to get 20% off your first order plus free shipping. That's MeUndies.com/yourmother. Code yourmother for 20% off plus free shipping. MeUndies, comfort from the outside in. Josh, how much do you think about your wardrobe when you're on tour playing shows, or night to night, or how much are you thinking about what am I wearing while I'm playing this show?
Not a lot, because I actually packed. I underpacked because I was worried that I would have too much merch to take back. So I left a lot of room in my suitcase, and I didn't.
That's funny.
But I also my style is very casual, but I sometimes overthink it. You know. Yeah.
Well, you know
it's
what?
more about comfort. You know what I'm saying?
It's more about comfort. Everything you just said, I've got the solution for it. Ready?
Yeah.
I know, it's not my solution. This is a commercial for Quince. Yes, with Quince, you can get a high-end style upgrade with versatile pieces at prices that don't break the bank.
That sounds
Those are all
nice.
my words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quince has all the must-haves, like Mongolian cashmere sweaters from $50. Iconic 100% leather jackets. I thought that was going to say leather pants, and I was like, "Are those back?" Leather jackets for $100, and comfortable pants for every occasion, and also stuff that you can get your wife, which I did, which you didn't, but I got stuff
I know.
for my wife.
We got a free thing from Quince, and they were nice enough to give us stuff. I ordered myself a lovely sweater for me, and then Josh was like, I got something for my wife, and I felt like the worst person in the world. So Quince, we'll talk. Quince will side. I'm addressing Quince directly now. We'll sidebar. I'll get something for my wife. Hey, listen to this. The best part, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands.
By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us.
And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices. That's great. Along with premium fabrics and finishes. I will say I enjoyed my sweater so much that was free that I went and bought a couple pairs of jeans, and those were great too. I'm just throwing that in there, Quince. You can send me more free stuff too, or my wife. Just my wife.
Indulge in affordable luxury. Go to quince.com/yourmother for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/yourmother to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/yourmother.
now, back to the show.
I have a question for you though. So just so we know how writers' rooms work. So you crack a story. Do you have a beginning, middle, and end by the time you go off to write the first draft?
Definitely.
Okay.
That doesn't mean it doesn't change, but we absolutely, Carter and Craig ran a room, and I've tried to do the same when I've been lucky enough to run shows where let's make sure that this story is as solid as we can possibly make it. And let's beat out every single scene, know what the jokes are, know what the A to B of each scene is, and really feel great about it. Because as you know, everything gets thrown at you, whether it's notes from the studio network or suddenly a big set piece that you thought was going to be hysterical turns out to not be that hysterical. So you have to believe in that internal structure, that basic structure of the story as much as possible. Now, that doesn't mean that sometimes we do sort of say, oh, you know what, this isn't working the way we thought it did. But they were, so and I'm sure you've heard this before, but the episode has my name on it, but it's got contributions from every writer in it. Every writer, it's been through the room multiple times by the time, especially by the time we get it to air.
This is probably a question you'll be uncomfortable answering, but I want you to try. Are there moments from that draft that made it into the show, that made it onto the air, that are Chris Harris, that are pure Chris Harris, that you're I'm excited and happy about this contribution?
So many, I would say. I don't want Chris to be shy. So many. Chris has such a high hit rate of that in every script he wrote for
Tell us. Sing your praises.
There's so much that was other people. I can say that.
Watch him do this. Watch him take no credit. I know it. I see all that's happening.
The Marshall being really good at games and the what runner. I'm pretty sure was me sitting alone in a cafe or a restaurant somewhere, giggling to myself.
The what runner is funnier every time. It's like a staircase of laughter.
I want to say that it's such a Chris Harris joke. Chris Harris is a master at creating these Rube Goldberg machines, sort of joke delivery systems that are like bing, click, click, and this thing is going to make this sound at this time, and this thing can come back around at this time.
And what's the one Marshall says?
Just like a machine.
He doesn't say what, he says when. Is that right?
Robin says when, which I did not remember.
That made me laugh the hardest of anything. That was funny. Last night.
That was mine too. Total so came out of the blue. I mean, watching the whole episode, it kind of. There's a little part of me that made me depressed because I like to think that my writing is getting better and better, and over the years I've just improved. But I watched the episode and I was like, damn it, that might be as good as I get.
2006 was my year. 2006 was my year.
2006. I'm so far over the hill.
It's not often that you can point to the moment you peaked, but this is it.
That was it. It's just been thankfully a very slow decline, but a decline nonetheless.
Why did we keep him around 8 more years after that? But in slow decline.
He kept pitching that what joke over and over again. No, it's a callback, and people will love it.
I love not only is Marshall great at games. My first big laugh of the when he screams Yahtzee. Like, that's pure Siegel, just like
that's a pure Siegel.
They probably didn't write it that way. It's just like a weird take on, and such a fun word to scream. But where did you guys come up with Marshall is so good at games, he's invented his own? Which, crazily enough, I never even thought of this. Did that freak Lily out, given what her you guys didn't know that Lily's dad was chasing board game fortunes.
Yeah, we later arrived at the idea that Chris Elliott as her dad would have been this board game inventor, and realized there was this kind of overlap. Like, she did marry her dad. And she was trying to really run away from her crazy dad. Game. We realized that very retroactively, though. I'm not sure we did that on purpose at all. It was just like,
but that's another one of those things. Those unconscious writer connections that you're making. Connections. Yeah,
I don't remember. That's hysterical. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So where did I thought it was particularally funny that Marshall is so good at games he has to invent his own. Like, where did that come from? Marshgammon.
I remember originally it was Marshopoly or Marshallopoly, and we could not get the rights cleared to Marshallopoly. And I remember we were actually on set, and we were allowed to use Candyland visually, but something about the opoly was just throwing legal for a loop.
Wow.
And
so you had to go back to a game that's been around for thousands of years.
We had to go back
the
to
Mesopotamians didn't copyright backgammon.
No, the
would have thought
Sumerians lawyers took their time. Yeah.
Who would have thought the Monopoly people would play real corporate hardball about something?
You should have paid them in Monopoly money. Seen if they would have taken it.
That's why there are so few games that end with opoly.
Rebecca had a question, Chris. She said, did Chris Harris really hate backgammon that much? Remember Marshall's like weirdly rage-filled dig at backgammon? I feel like maybe you did hate backgammon that much. Am I right?
I don't think so. In fact, I looked, well, one, I think that's, if I had to pick, I think that's your joke, Craig. I could be wrong.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Then two,
Old man theater.
In the first draft, he was just as angry about Monopoly, which might have been me. I might have hated Monopoly enough, but then we just moved that hatred over to a different.
Oh my God!
Board
Well,
game.
if that had anything to do with me, I literally to this day don't really know what backgammon is, so I can't say I hold any vitriol against something I don't understand. But I think the being really good at games came from you a little, Chris, didn't it? Because just to share this, and we can edit this out if you want, you're a game guy. You're a scavenger hunt guy. You are an adult, elevated, travel to another city you don't live in, scavenger hunt guy. True or false?
Why would you want to edit this out? Why do you think this isn't interesting to people about how much I like puzzles and games? No, I do. I love puzzles. I did. I used to do these hunts where you drive around for 30 hours in a van with a team going from clue to clue, solving other puzzles.
30 hours.
It's crazy. And Neil has a little bit of that too. We had a little bit of overlap with that too.
You know, it's also, I mean, a lot of writers, like Stephen Sondheim very famously was a huge crossword puzzle guy, right? And I think there's something about the brain, the comedy brain or the lyricist brain, that when things land in the right place, it's so satisfying. Right.
There's a little bit of a puzzle to it, and thinking,
Certainly,
and Sondheim did all sorts of things,
When you're 15 episodes into a 22 episode season, it is a puzzle because you have this dictate, like, okay, we have to get the plot here, we have to move the plot here, but we also we have to have it funny, and it has to be self-contained. If you're just tuning in for this one episode, we want audiences to kind of follow it, but you also want to reward people who've been watching from episode one. Like, there is a lot of puzzle making.
And that's a huge challenge. And Craig, I don't know how much you've talked about that, but like balancing the serialized nature of the show with the episodic nature of the show was a huge challenge in the first season.
And we never tried to go this deep back into somebody's past, a character's past either. So this episode was new. We hadn't gone, like, this really digs into Barney 10 years prior, 10 more, or however many years prior. Like, we'd never done that move while also trying to establish Ted and Victoria's relationship is moving forward. Robin, it feels weird toward Victoria. We need to plant some seeds of trouble for Ted and Victoria looking ahead, which this does. The DNA of their breakup is written in this little teeny tiny, moment in this episode. There was a lot to do while also doing the Darth Vader story.
There's another thing that you guys did that I thought was really sly, which is like Marshall's clearly rigging the game to interrogate Victoria. He's the ultimate authority on Marshgammon, so people are like, okay, I guess. And then, it's the person to your left, autobiography, switching it to always be about quizzing her.
Chris, do you remember when you went off to write this episode? Was there any aspect of it was your feeling like we knew the Barney part would be funny? The flashbacks. We knew hippie Barney would be funny. Yep. That's the raw red meat. And so do you almost do you feel like, well, we got that, so I need to make sure the present day stuff is equal to that, or is like moving things forward in another way? Like the structure of Barney demanding offerings to unlock each new board game level of this story. That's such a great structure. I forget whose that was, and if that was yours or not, but that idea of it's a series of keys.
It's a Sphinx kind of riddle, kind of like you have to make an offering to get to the next level.
And I don't know who did. I'm pretty sure I didn't, because in my head, I think I would have written it much more formal and structured and not as good. I think I would have written it as he said, okay, if you each tell me a story, then I'm going to, about your own most embarrassing moment, then I will, each time you do that, then I would have made it a very formal thing. And in the episode, it comes out very organically. Like the first one is just Barney saying, no, I don't want to do it. And Marshall sort of stepping forward voluntarily. It felt much better than I would have written it. So I think I know that was part of the breaking of the story was like, oh, each person makes an offering.
Yeah.
And Barney rewards that offering with another piece of his story.
Yeah.
But it definitely was a group effort there, I'm sure.
We talked about also How I Met Your Mother. It was 2005, 2006, this first season. It was almost like the first time it was appropriate to parody the 90s or look at the 90s as a period piece. Like, I really think it wasn't, we weren't, it was like, oh, can we do that? Like, it still felt like we had one foot in the 90s, but there was just enough distance for it to look like, what are the things called? The shirt, the like
that
hemp
hood,
shirt.
like the hemp hoodie.
What are those called? Do they have a name?
It's a great question, but they were everywhere.
Everywhere.
Those were everywhere.
And I will say that watching it, I was like, I couldn't believe how much, I mean, that was one great thing about the show is everyone in every department went all in. The wardrobe was amazing. That Barney's hair was amazing.
Baja hoodie.
Yeah. Oh, Baja hoodie. Oh,
every
fantastic.
Guy, there was like 20 of those guys in every college, right? In the 90s.
Oh,
that was
totally.
I think it was a Baja hoodie.
Though I do see an alternate of drug rug.
Drug rug. Okay.
Rug.
Wow.
Amazing.
Neil, the hair and makeup was amazing. The wardrobe was amazing. And his physicalization, Neil's physical take on that character, he became a different human being. His body was completely different. It was so good. His every expression, every molecule of him was a different guy. It was so well done by him.
I also had forgotten Katie Walden. That's who played Shannon.
Yeah.
She was so good.
She's really good. Yeah.
She's good, 'cause
So,
she
like,
also had that transformation that she had to do too.
Yes.
Yeah, and when she comes back in that red like power suit kind of corporate outfit, it's so great.
I forgot that she says legendary too. She's the one. I forgot that you had her saying legendary.
We threw every origin story that we could, and it's amazing that it was like only 15 episodes in. How much we had? Okay, we got suit up. We're going to throw in there with legendary high five. I mean, it's basically like that first opening sequence of the third Indiana Jones, where they're just like the whip, snakes.
Yeah,
it was totally that. It was totally.
You know what?
That.
I also thought this is a shout out to casting. The guy who plays the suit guy, who he mistakes for her father, was like really perfectly cast because he has to be plausible both as someone Barney could look at and go, oh, this guy has something figured out, and also from the back, he's like, he looks older. Like it was a deft kind of casting bit, I thought.
Craig, can I ask, did you know before the show started roughly what Barney's origin story was, or just did you decide you needed one and it was in this room that you figured it out?
I think we knew he was a very different guy at some point. The specificity of making him that much of a hippie and like just allowing ourselves to be kids in a candy store with those jokes, Chris. I feel like that we found in the room, right? Because I think we said he wasn't this guy. He was sensitive. He had his heart broken. Something made him. He was Anakin Skywalker before Emperor Palpatine had sort of like dragged him in.
Totally.
But I think the specificity of getting him that hippie-ish and allowing ourselves to like push it a little bit, that came from the room.
And it was so fun to, like, I don't give high fives, I only give high twos. Yeah.
Was that you, Chris? High twos?
I'd like to think it was, but but it was basically let's collect all these cliches and all these twists on who Barney is versus who he was, and it was like you said, it was a candy store because there was so much to work with, and and then watching Neil embody it was just insane.
I forget, was it in the script or was it a Neil choice to call it Nicaragua?
Oh, that was Neil.
That was Neil.
That was Neil.
Yeah,
that was so funny.
Just going for it, getting away with it.
As I recall, he was super sick for at least part of the taping. Like I remember he had the flu or something, and was just like convalescing in between takes, but then would just sort of bring it in and
he
bring
was
it up.
Devastated about Shannon. It makes sense.
I know, it probably helped his devastation and like crying and looking all like fucked up. He's like snotting and crying.
Helped.
That moment when you see that tape first and he's a hippie, it is such information overload. When you see you barely recognize him. He's a hippie, he's at a piano, his hair's long, he's got the shitty soul patch, and he's singing a song and crying. It's so in the deep end right away. You're jumping into the deep end.
When you hear Shannon gave me a tape and he freaks out, you're like certain it's a sex tape
It's
of
gotta
some
be a sex
kind.
tape. An embarrassing one, because otherwise
not his best work.
It's not his best work. That's it.
So yes,
his reaction of freaking out about that tape and then trying to be casual is so funny.
And then
Precisely.
Where's the tape?
I love Where's the Tape, but Lily's switcheroo on him, like I thought this might happen.
Oh,
Brilliant.
Allison
So I
was
gave
great with
Ted's
that.
graduation.
I love that.
That's also
a great
great.
little look.
That's revealing of Lily's kind of forethought, like knowing Barney.
Yeah.
It's reveal of Barney, his thing in the episode. And it's also like, it's revealing of Ted, like he's sentimental. He wants his graduation tape, like, and now it's destroyed, you know?
You're right.
It's like a threefer, right?
If it was somebody else, they wouldn't care. If it was it was Robin's grad, who cares? But Ted, you could just see, and just that it's just a one little quick shot of
The
him
wounded look.
double taking. Yeah.
You know? And he can't do anything about it. Yeah.
Who would have written this song? Because I know, Craig, you and Carter usually were doing
We didn't write that. Chris, I think Chris just wrote funny lyrics, and our wonderful composer, John Swihart, Jay would have put music to that one. That was not us.
I think it was written in the room, and I honestly, I think Swihart did an amazing job. I don't know if we took the care that we learned that we could and the fun that we had writing the, like, later songs.
Right.
We just spent, like, you just got slapped and Super Day. Like, it was so fun to do every single lyric. And here, I think, I don't know if we were under the gun or not, but we just wrote it. And of course,
there's only a little bit of that song. I feel like later we would have like put out the full like 3-minute version of that song. We didn't realize that move yet.
We would have set up a website.
We would have had a website
with a series of songs.
BarneyShannonTape.com.
The album he made for her.
We missed a bet. We can admit we missed a big bet there for sure.
Yeah.
Chris, do you know what else I was thinking about the structure of this one that I loved? I remember it feeling like, how do we make the present day move, right? We were talking about that earlier, the dilemma of how do you can't just have it be a clip show. You need stuff happening in the present. I love that the end of the story happens tonight, where we catch up to the present day and Barney actually, and we remember we felt it important that he had taken a video, so it was clear he really had done this. This was not invented.
Totally.
The idea that the story begins in 1997, whenever it begins, and it ends like a half hour before he started the story in the bar. I feel like that unlocked it, because it literally connected the past story to tonight, literally tonight. I remember that being a moment of breaking the story, feeling like this will work.
And I definitely don't take credit for that. That was definitely either you or Carter. But the I remember thinking about it and seeing like, he couldn't have done the video evidence a few years earlier. Like, that's how new the phone. You can look at, you can see by the phone
it's
how
like
new it was.
Trio or something. I feel like that's
also we're doing a little bit, Chris, on this show of atonement for things that were perhaps ill-advised. I'm pretty sure that's like a felony to take someone.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That is
like, I'm pretty sure
definitely
you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Oh, there's plenty to atone for. I mean, there's the I won't get into specifics, but there are times when I've been watching with my kids and I'm just
that's not the best.
But it's also like you keep expecting, and this is Neil's so good at the fake. Like, he's so good at playing one thing and then pulling the rug out from under it. But you keep expecting like some sort of self-reflection that brings him back to a place of like the basic human decency. And he always doubles down on like, I'm making the right choice. Wearing suits and sleeping with tons of women and staying is like the choice, is the way to be.
It looks like he's having that moment, and then he just sort of looks up, and it's that 180.
He's a bit of the Seinfeld dictate, no hugging, no learning. Like, Neil for a long time is no hugging, no learning.
Yes.
But in his own bubble, but on the show itself, like I watching it last night, I was like, oh, he's totally broken. He's totally, he's totally.
That's my defense of all this.
He thinks he's awesome, but he's clearly going through some stuff. Obviously, Shannon wasn't that much of a villain, but that's what he's got in his head about all women, and he's, I don't know. I felt closer to almost Lily's view of him by the end of watching it this time around, and I'm not sure what I remember thinking.
Everything Barney does comes out of hurt and scars and being broken. Every single thing he does, and a lot of what he does, he makes up and he didn't really do. We felt it important this one that he had some evidence that he had actually hooked up with Shannon, because even he realized how far-fetched it sounded. It is not the best move that a guy could do, that's for sure. It's the worst thing, but it comes from being broken.
One of the meta questions of the show is like, how reliable is the show based on it's older Ted narrating this? But like, are we watching the real thing that happened, or are we watching older Ted's version and somewhat sanitized version of the thing that happened to tell his children? In the same way, in this episode, you could question like how much of the like Barney's telling the story.
And I totally questioned it, probably even more than when we shot it. As I was watching it last night, where it's like, obviously she's not coming in suddenly like I've totally changed because I met one. I don't know. It just felt like it was Barney's view of this woman as opposed to what actually happened.
Yeah.
I was fascinating. Oh, and by the way, there in an earlier draft, he slept with her mother instead of her. I don't know why. I think cutting out the middleman was better. Yeah, there are all these like little
draft. Like you wrote that.
It got into at least an outline.
At least an outline. Oh
yeah,
God,
it's all the crazy dead ends and things. No. Just have him sleep with her.
All right, he sleeps with her. It has to be that. He's Barney.
Yeah.
I really like the line, Ted's line, you guys have been like the parents I still have and moved here to get away from.
I really like that line. That's a Chris Harris line for sure, I think.
That's a great line.
It feels like it's got a little
it's very
Carter
clever.
Craig
It's very clever.
punch up to it. Yeah. It's much too long for what someone would say in reality in that moment. So yes, I agree. That does sound like me.
I also loved Robin's switch on Prude Alert. Slut alert.
Yeah.
That's Craig. That's
Craig.
It's gotta be you.
I don't remember anything.
I think, or Carter.
I was drunk for a lot of this.
I love Neil does so many like little subtle crazy things, but his trembling lower lip in the video.
The trembling lower lip was unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. It's literally like a ballet dancer of the face. Like how does he even? He has such like technical control. Of his instrument, like just all physically. I
rewound and rewatched that. I watched that twice last night watching it because I couldn't believe it. I had forgotten how insane that chin was. And the goatee going.
And this old man, he must admit he fell in love with you in New York City.
And now, commercials. End of commercials. Back to show.
I heard Martin Short say something years ago that always stayed with me. He said, the cliche about theater acting is you need to be as big as you can, and the cliche about film acting is you be as small as you can. He says, I think of it as the reverse. In the theater, you're trying to be as subtle as you can and still get it to the back row. Whereas in film, you want to be as big and expressive as you can without being too big for the camera, for the lens, right? And I really think like Neil is a master at scale. Like he knows... Like if he knows when the camera's back, and he like one of the great, I think, physical comedy things I've ever seen was Neil after running the marathon trying to stand up in the subway
trying to stand up
down.
in the subway.
Like it's an unbelievable physical comedian feat, right? But I also think he knew like when the camera was super up close on him, he knew how to give the trembling lip in such a way that the camera can hold it, you know?
Yeah, it's fantastic. And his walk across that cafe, like it was so specific and weird and different.
And just showed he revolutionized his entire personality. Like there wasn't a thing about himself that he didn't throw out and start over again as new Barney.
Yes.
You know?
And of course I remember your story that in his audition he did a somersault.
Yes.
I mean the physical comedy was part of it from the beginning.
Literally from the audition, he was doing like shoulder rolls across like people's like casting directors, offices. He's so, do you remember him being super game to do this, Chris? Do you remember like was this like a kid in the candy store for him too?
He was really excited, and you could tell like so there's so many little like just him kicking the trash can when he's upset walking down the street
hurting his foot
and hurting his foot and that lasts for a few steps. He took it as the gift that we were
crying
hoping he would.
And when that sequence begins and that sort of like semi like Darth Vader music kind of kicks in and takes you in that sequence, that you know you're really in for the ride at that point. Like that's such a satisfying moment when that sequence begins. It's like this whole episode has been leading to this. This is gonna work, and the idea to play that all in that kind of white limbo space is really avant-garde and weird. Do you remember how we quite got? I mean, it's because it was the Darth Vader thing, which
it's
was
almost
kind of
like the Return of the Shirt montage. It's like things that you can't do when there's 200 people on, high on candy in a live taping. Like that is where How I Met Your Mother became like this weird cinematic hybrid of a sitcom, a classic sitcom with like all these cinematic elements.
Yeah, and no idea where that white background came from, but it was awesome. And then John Swihart, the composer, just doing that perfect sort of boom, 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 just carrying. You know exactly what you're watching.
I also liked how the suit was all dark, like an all black suit, basically.
Never would have said that, but never would have chosen that. But it's great.
It's so Darth Vader. It's the suit Darth Vader would wear.
Speaking of clothes, this is a silly throwaway. I really like Marshall's sweater.
With the dog on it?
The little orange dog.
I have a moment where I was like, what's happening with that dog? I forgot.
I like it. I like it.
You like it?
I thought it was cool.
About it in my house.
Oh, really? I'm team Marshall sweater.
You're a fantastic drunk, Josh, and I mean that in the most respectful way. That is really hard to do, and like going back to that to the re-return night.
God, I forgot how big. That's a big deal that we revealed that too. That he re-returned that night of the pilot, and then we dive back into the pilot. I was like, "Fuck!" I forgot that we also do that in this episode. Like, it's sort of like.
Do you know what I was hooked on?
There's a lot in here.
I was like, they've been drinking a lot in this bar, including Ranjit, who then drives them. I was like, wait a minute. This can't be safe.
That is a great observation.
That's another atonement session, I guess.
Don't drink and drive, kids.
Don't drink and drive. Don't film people without them knowing. There's a lot of things to not do on this show.
Do you know what? There's so many little funny things, and the what is so funny. But I loved, we're not quitting just because Ted's so far ahead. And he says, I was winning.
I was winning.
Like, no one has any idea how to play this game except Marshall, which is, it's probably not even a real game. But
that made me laugh. The idea that there's mayonnaise in the cookies. I mean, we're playing off the 7-layer salad a little bit there, right? We're kind of calling that she puts mayonnaise in everything and she mixes mayonnaise with sweet dishes.
The slide in of Marshall's mom is fantastic.
Just dying inside.
Yeah.
That was
so
really
good.
Funny.
Well, I just thought also this episode is a little bit like there's got to be a term for it. I call it like filling in the lore, but it's like How I Met Everyone Else. Remember that episode? Like you guys created a show, Craig, that had such an ability to make so many different moves. You could zip forward, you could zip back, you could forget a piece of information, go, oh, I forgot to tell you this part. Like you really granted yourself like a real superpower narratively.
This episode had more of them than I remembered.
Yeah.
Like Victoria's being omited and just cutting to a black screen. You know, that was great.
Right.
And that was out of necessity. I really, because I found a story that she told and deep in it, again, like parting the cobwebs of my Mac. And it was okay. This was much better.
It's much better to not say it.
Much better to just not say it. So it was born of necessity. But yeah, I feel like this was something. I think that superpower, Josh, that you talk about is really cool because I think in later episodes and seasons, the storytelling, there was a little bit more discovery. Oh, here's what we can do, and you look at trilogy time, you look at How I Met Everyone Else, you look at all these other flashback and ways that flashbacks and flash forward were used. The one where Saget or where older Ted completely gets every moment wrong and can't remember things. And I feel like this was just us still like exploring, still in the shallow end almost, but having a lot of fun as we're discovering it.
I mean, there's a funny, I'm always struck by how invested Lily and Marshall are, especially in the early seasons, in Ted and his lore and being a part of his story and getting him partnered off so they can be on that front porch together, which they haven't even talked about, but it's clearly at play. And Marshall's hurt over, I thought you were vomit free. Like you weren't.
Oh my God, the betrayal.
It was a discussion in the room, as I recall, but wait, we can't tell the story because Ted is vomit free since 93.
Isn't that funny that that's your grown-up professional job, sitting around with other grown-ups debating like, no, we established that he was vomit free since 93.
Sorry,
we can't possibly. How do we get around this? This is just for people who love the blooper reel, but I remember I could not say the green testicle story thing. Like on the blooper reel, there's I say it like 5 times in the wrong way. Like I keep saying the wrong thing. What got
you about it? Did you start laughing? Or you just got it wrong?
I kept saying testicle in the wrong place. Is it green testicle? Is that the
green
thing?
testicle?
Green testicle.
I want to hear that story.
We'll have to. Someone who knows the blooper reel better than I do will have to look at season 1 bloopers. Yeah,
that's from. I didn't do the ultimate frisbee part. I think was either Room or you, Craig. Green Testicle is literally from a guy in my freshman dorm who had a herniated testicle, stuff like that, and went into the health clinic and said, it's okay if we have to remove it, it's fine. You've got another one, and we can just insert a green sphere into there, and then your life will be totally normal. And he says he was so horrified and shocked that all he could think of to say was, do you have any other colors?
Oh my God, I forgot that completely.
That is the Green Testicle story.
I couldn't.
Actually, is a story.
Didn't remember that. That's
Isn't
amazing.
it also so great? Like, obviously, your comedic sensibility, your sense of structure, like all of that is a talent. That's part of why you're in a writer's room on a great show. But also, every little weird thing that happened in your life might be admissible.
It could get onto TV.
Love it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Love it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like a collection of like, throw your best stories in the pot here.
I thought that was an invented funny phrase, Chris. I forgot that really happened. Now I'm sitting here going, did they really cut out the guy's testicle? Because he twisted, like he must have come out of that with 2 testicles. I'm thinking, right?
He did. It ended up being okay.
That was a scare.
It was just a scare.
Thank God.
But
I forgot that was real. That's amazing.
That is the best part of one of the best parts of doing what we do in general is like we get to share our favorite stories or our silliest ideas with others, hopefully to entertain them. And anytime we draw from real life, it's a good sign, because if we're still remembering it, then it's the emotion that
it's also like something humiliating gets repurposed for joy. So it's like nothing is wasted. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, the Green Testicle guy was me. You're right.
I also, speaking about Barney, you think he's going to transform it. We've talked about this, Craig, but I remember this great editor I worked with on both my movies, Michael Miller. He talked about the difference between film and TV, or one of the main differences on TV shows. A transformation has to be much slower because you're trying to establish these characters and they have their groove, they have their lane.
Yes.
And you slowly transform them, but you can't transform them too quickly or the show is over. Whereas in a movie, you've got to transform them in 90 minutes or 2 hours. Like transformation happens much speedier. And thinking about, you plant the seeds for, okay, there's a different guy underneath this suit. The suit is armor. The suit is a character. He's playing at being a villain on some level, but it's a character he's not done playing. He's going to keep playing it. So tune in next week. He's still going to be this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And eventually over time, we saw more and more. We really got back to Barney's childhood, and we really saw where that guy began, where all the wounds went, and sort of connected that through line. But the gift of long form TV is getting to discover that, getting to peel back those layers. We didn't know all of that. We didn't know Barney was a hippie until we said, that'd be funny. It'd be funny to have him in that way.
But then it informs the next 8 years. Like you then almost like the vomit free, like you have to contend with the things you lay down because they have a cascade of consequences from them.
Paint yourself into a corner, and the necessity is the mother of invention. Like make yourself solve that problem. And Chris, I feel like you in Okay Awesome, I remember the moment where we realized the narrator could have forgotten to tell you a crucial detail. Remember the idea that, oh, by the way, he had this dental procedure earlier in the day, and you freeze frame, and we are still finding it. We're finding the moves, and this episode is the template for so many of those future roundtable flashback episodes where we learned you need a present day conundrum. You know what I mean? The flashbacks need to have twists and turns of their own. You need each flashback to be different one from the other. You need to be really moving the story forward in the present, or else it's just like a clip show. Like this was us figuring out how to do that kind of episode. We did a whole bunch more, kind of like this one.
It was so fun. And you're right. We were sort of clawing our way and sometimes feeling our way in the dark. I remember at some point in the room, like just us realizing, oh, the flashback can't just show what we just said it was going to show.
Yeah, there needs to be a twist.
I've seen that pitfall in other places, and
Me too.
I think you're right. That present day story is the most important thing, because that's what's carrying you through the great story in the past.
In regards to this talk of Barney and his origin story, Josh, would you like to introduce Chris to this our very important section?
Yeah, this is a now beloved section of the show that we like to call Questions and Observations from a clinical psychologist who's never seen How I Met Your Mother and also happens to be married to Josh.
This episode, to me, is really like the Barney origin story, and I think it's great. It gave me so much more of an understanding of him explanation for his behavior, for his bravado. It's like, oh, right, it all comes from a broken heart. Of course it does. His insensitivity, quote unquote, is actually a way to protect himself from how deeply sensitive he is and how wounded he was from making himself incredibly vulnerable. So I don't have that much to say other than that it's a good reminder that this is almost always the case, that the people who present as tough and invulnerable were often once very sensitive, but that part of them has been hurt and has subsequently gone underground.
Not a lot of talk about how handsome the writer of the episode is, but it's like, other than that,
we had another one, and I killed that. I killed that one. I was like, that's inappropriate. I don't want you doing that one. Do one about Barney.
No, it's a great observation. It's totally.
You need to see that side of Barney. You need to see that side of Barney, or he's not interesting anymore. He's only interesting, I think, because we get to see where it comes from. I think that's what makes him so much more human.
It's also counterintuitive culturally, especially for men. Like I love the phrase "rudeness is the weak man's attempt at strength." There's something about, especially in the moment we're in, where there's so much confusion about masculinity and what is healthy masculinity, and there's just there's these forward-facing, louder men in the world that are much more actually bro-cody. They're much more kind of. And we've gotten in the weeds on some of this, but I'm sure we'll unpack it more. Just like, you guys were not holding up Barney as any kind of exemplar of like male behavior. Like you guys are all, it was a writer's room of Teds and Marshalls, the men, right? Like it wasn't, I think it's just useful to remember that vulnerability, especially publicly, is quite difficult and requires an enormous amount of strength. And I think being kind of shut down and rude doesn't, so I don't know. I love and appreciate Barney as a character, but I think you have to watch him with the right understanding.
Yeah. That's interesting. There is that danger of like the thing that we're mocking is the thing that people love about the character, genuinely love, instead of loving to laugh at.
I think season 1, we actually did a very good job of showing, like, Barney, to this point in season 1, he has not succeeded in hooking up with that many women. He's been very concerned about whether Ted's his best friend or not. And we learned that he used to be a hippie who had his heart broken. Like, I really like how in season 1, we did keep our eye on the ball, I think, of like, this guy, there's a lot underneath that suit. And this episode is basically that. That's the core of this episode, is what's underneath that suit. And I think in later seasons, sometimes we lost sight of that for different patches of time and started to lose the kind of ironic distance from it, and sometimes did the thing rather than we're ironically commenting on the thing. What I like about this episode is we're saying this is the premise here. The premise here is there is someone who is inside of a Darth Vader costume. And there's more to him than meets the eye. And that's so much more interesting than a guy who like just hooks up with lots of women and like seems really cool. Yeah. Like I want to see who is that guy really? And that's the best part of this episode.
So I'm just curious, just from this vantage point, it's been 11 years since the show ended. It's been 20 years since the show premiered. So I'm just curious, like, when you look back on that time, like, what are your biggest memories? What do you feel when you see How I Met Your Mother in the world, when you hear about all these younger generations discovering the show? I mean, you were at the absolute epicenter of this for the entire run. So like, where does How I Met Your Mother live with you? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think one thing that it was, having been on plenty of shows before and plenty of shows after, if you get a great show, great people around you, great hours, like if you get one of those on a show, then you're lucky. One thing we were good at was being aware in the moment of how fortunate we all were to be working with each other. I give Carter and Craig all the credit in the world, along with Pam and Susie for fostering that, appreciating where we are and what we get to do. And honestly, I've carried, not to sound too mushy, but I've carried that with me for these past decades, and I'm incredibly grateful for it. I was talking at a school a few days ago, and this teacher in his probably mid-20s just came up and said, "Oh, I can't believe you wrote for How I Met Your Mother." Like, still still excited. Another friend, his 12-year-old daughter just finished the run of the series, which I have mixed feelings about, knowing some of the things that we wrote
that we've discussed today.
But I still love it. And I also, there's one, I don't know why this is the one moment I remember, but hearing the Josh who gave us that intro, his story about addiction and everything. I always remember this one moment midway through the series, being at some event or something, and the rest of the event I don't remember, but all I remember is this one woman saying, "Thanks for making my Mondays a little happier." And I think that's wonderful that we got to do something that we all believed in and all loved, and got to put out there, and hopefully made brief little moments of different people's lives a little happier. I think we knew in the moment, especially as that last season started to happen, like we might never have a job as good as this.
We might, yes,
and that's okay, because we got to have this job. We got to have these amazing 9 years. So much as I would love to do another show that I care about as deeply as that, I'm really happy that I got to do this one.
Craig, maybe let's interrogate this. It's not an issue now because people are watching this whenever they want, but it just occurred to me when you said, "Thank you for making my Mondays better." Mondays are hard days. Monday's the start of the week. Monday's like, you got the whole week ahead of you. And that we were on Monday nights, I think that's like a little bit part of the story in a weird way.
I think so too. Yeah. I think we were on Monday night. You had to slog your way through Monday. And if you watched Monday night, there we were for you. And it was once a week. And that's how people consume the show. And young people have no idea what it felt like to consume the show in that way.
Though I will say that we have gotten not just one response online thanking people again for their Mondays, saying just like on the show.
Because this podcast comes out on Mondays.
Nice.
Just like we waited for the show on Monday, we waited for the podcast.
I just want to say Chris Harris is the dream writer to have on your writing staff, and has been an amazing showrunner of other stuff now too. And like, Chris, thank you. You will be back on this podcast. You wrote so many freaking all-timers. Like every episode you wrote was great.
I will say,
invaluable to the room.
As an actor, when I would open that manila envelope with the, I think on a Friday, they'd often have the Monday's table read episode waiting for you. And when I opened it up and I saw written by Chris Harris, I always thought, all right, this is going to be good. I'm excited about this.
There was always something in there that could only come from Chris. Many things in there that could only come from Chris. And I think that is just such a testament. That's the dream, I will say, as a showrunner of a TV show. That's the dream, where somebody that can understand what the show is and bring the tone emotionally, bring the storytelling chops, but then do something with it that you yourself could never do. And like Chris, like you just so have that talent. It's just kind of innate talent of bringing jokes only you could write and moments only you could create into all of your work, including your amazing children's books and poetry books. So go look those up. Chris is a genius at that too. Please find his books.
Playing James Bond and the Hot
Playing
Priest.
James Bond, it was great.
The range is extraordinary. That's what it is. The range.
Sexy Priest, you're amazing in that. I loved you in Fleabag. A lot of acclaim for that role. But we love you, Chris Harris, and you will be back. I
love you guys. Can't wait. And you built the playground. It was so much fun to play around in it.
So we tend to open these episodes with audio that you guys have submitted about what How I Met Your Mother means to you. And we tend to close the show with written letters we've received about what How I Met Your Mother means to you. If you would like to submit either an audio or a written letter, please go to howwemadeyourmother.com, go to contact, should be clear from there. We have a wonderful letter today, and I often read these letters, but today I'm handing it over to Chris Harris. Chris, will you read us our closing letter?
Your first mistake. Here we go. Dear Josh and Craig, I was 12 years old the first time I watched How I Met Your Mother, which admittedly may have been a little too young for some of the more adult themes.
We've been over this. Yeah, this keeps coming up today.
But I had overheard my cousin talking about how great the show was, and I convinced my mom to get a Netflix subscription just so I could see it for myself. At the time, I was incredibly lonely and already experiencing my first round of depression. I didn't have the words for it back then, but I knew that coming home and putting on How I Met Your Mother felt like a lifeline. It gave me a group of friends I could visit every day. It made me laugh when nothing else could. It gave me hope that things could get better, even when they felt impossible. The show has become this rhythm in my life. As soon as I finish the final episode, I go right back to the pilot episode. It's comfort, it's home, it's safe. A while ago, I got a tattoo that says, "Right time, right place," from Ted's speech in season 4, episode 22. When I finally went to New York, I made my friends come with me to McGee's Pub, and I cried. Not in a touristy, I'm checking this off my bucket list kind of way, but because stepping into that bar felt like stepping into a place that had held me through some of the darkest and brightest moments of my life. My heart felt full and strange and overwhelmed, like I was visiting an old friend I'd only ever known through a screen. I could have stayed there forever. I did not want to leave. Listening to your podcast has brought that world to life in a whole new way. It's filled me with so much joy and nostalgia, and one of the letters you read moved me more than I expected. It touched on things I've felt too, and for a moment I worried that writing to you would seem repetitive. But I've come to realize that's the magic of this show. It created something so personal for so many of us, something that still connects people across time, distance, and circumstance. So, thank you. Thank you for creating a show that's felt like home to me for over a decade, for giving us a group of characters who felt like friends, each of them flawed and funny and deeply human in ways that made me feel less alone. And thank you for the podcast. Hearing your stories, reflections, and laughter has felt like revisiting something sacred with the people who made it. It's been emotional, funny, and healing in ways I didn't expect. How I Met Your Mother has shaped me. It's helped me hold on when things felt heavy and reminded me to believe in love, timing, and the kind of friendship that makes everything else bearable. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for this amazing show. Sincerely, Louis from the Faroe Islands. Wow.
How nice is that? That's Chris. Isn't that cool? We've heard from fans, and it's such an honor that we all got to make something that meant this much to people like that. You know,
that's
and
amazing.
Such a gift
and so humbling. And Thank you for sharing that.
It's beautiful. And like to point this out, like the feeling of friendship in the show, we all really were friends. You know, I think the idea that the writing staff and the actors were all kind of similar ages and similar vibes. We all really were friends. And Chris Harris, just to say this, and you can only say Chris Harris's name, you got to say both names. You can't just say Chris, you have to say Chris Harris. He's one of those guys. But Chris is such a dear friend of mine and of Carter's. Like we really do go back in our 20s. We were writing for Late Show with David Letterman. We were going to McGee's Pub on Thursday nights as a group, yes. Right? That was the Late Show with David Letterman bar before it was now it's the How I Met Your Mother bar, but it was the Late Show with David Letterman bar first, and we would go there, Chris, to sort of drink our troubles away after a long week. Yep. We would shoot 2 shows, two tapings of Letterman on Thursday night. It was a great job, but it was very intense, and we would be there. And so Chris is like really such a dear friend of Carter and I, and came with us from there. And there was a little gap time where we weren't working together, but we were together on a couple other like things prior to How I Met Your Mother. Most of my TV career was with you, Chris. And I think that friendship and history that we all had, and so many of us had on the writing staff and with the cast, I think it does translate into the final product. And maybe that's what this person who wrote this amazing letter was feeling. I like to think that's part of it.
Absolutely. It felt like for a while, it felt like How I Met Your Mother, like our lives were just a few years ahead of the characters. And so just enough to let us reflect. But all of those times, I think you're right. I think that friendship and that genuine caring for each other really came through. Just to sort of emphasize how connected we were as both, we were writers on this show, but also friends. When I was scrolling through the notes for doing game night, it's like game going to find out secrets about each other, or the rules are variable, they keep changing. And then it reads chain reaction reveal of dirt on other characters. Barney's got something on Robin, Lily on Barney. And then the next line, it says, Chris Harris boy names. And what is clearly happening here is my wife was pregnant and the room had paused to
pitch on boy names?
To pitch on names for my child. It goes Chris Harris boy names. Casper, Casper, Jughead, Woody Woodpecker, SpongeBob, King Awesome. Chris Harris.
You went with King Awesome. You went with King Awesome.
You did,
I went with King Awesome and never looked back. Chris Harris, girl names, Helga, Sudoku, Betty. That's how this notes page ends. That's how the notes for that day end.
I also like it's like an incredibly tender moment and tender ask. Like, what to my friends? What did they think? They're like, Jughead. Call it Jughead.
I am guilty. Please acquit me. All sins are forgiven in New York City.
How We Made Your Mother is hosted and executive produced by Josh Radnor and Craig Thomas. The show was produced by me, Alec Lev, and our co-producer is Doug Matica. Our audio producer and mixer is Alex Reeves at Point of Blue Studios, and our digital content producer, aka Gen Z Master, is Emily Blumberg. Artwork by John Morrow. Please follow, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts or your podcast player of choice. It really does help the show. Our theme song is NYC by our own Josh Radnor, with additional music by Craig Thomas and Andrew Majewski. Special thanks to Lola Kennedy and Elliot Connors. Visit howwemadeyourmother.com to sign up for our Substack mailing list and for links to our social media. You can also click on the contact page to send us an email or a voice message. Your stories and questions are an important part of the show. Want some merch? Click on the store link or go to howyougetyourmerch.com. Subscribe to Josh Radnor's newsletters on Substack. Order Craig Thomas's debut novel at craigthomaswriter.com/novel. And you could subscribe to my Dead Fathers Society, also on Substack. To learn about how you make a difference, this show's ongoing campaign to raise money for congenital heart disease research, check out the Make a Difference tab at the top of our website. This episode was made possible by the support of Backyard Ventures. People will, in fact, dance.
The real question, it just hit me. Am I in love with you or just New York City?